In the tranquil suburb of Maplewood, where the streets were lined with manicured lawns and the air was perpetually scented with the sweet fragrance of blooming lilacs, stood the old Hawthorne house. This grand Victorian mansion, with its intricate woodwork, towering spires, and expansive verandas, had once been the pride of the neighborhood. But as the years passed, it had fallen into a state of elegant decay, its vibrant facade now faded and its windows gazing out onto the world with a weary, knowing look. For the Hawthorne family, the house was a symbol of their enduring legacy, a tangible link to their storied past. Yet for 12-year-old Oliver, it was a place of endless mystery and, as he was about to uncover, a labyrinth of secrets that had been buried for generations. Oliver was an inquisitive boy, his mind a whirl of questions and his heart always yearning for adventure. His parents, both consumed by their demanding careers, often left him in the care of his grandmother, a woman of gentle grace and a seemingly infinite well of stories. She would regale him with tales of the old days, recounting the history of the house and the lives of those who had once walked its halls. But there was one story she never shared, a secret that lay hidden within the very walls of the old house, waiting for the right moment to be unveiled. One crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves danced in the wind and the sun cast long, golden shadows across the lawn, Oliver found himself alone in the house. His parents were at work, and his grandmother had gone to visit a friend, leaving him with strict instructions to stay inside and out of trouble. With a resigned sigh, Oliver settled into the living room, his attention drawn to the old grandfather clock that stood in the corner, its steady ticking a comforting presence in the otherwise silent house. As the afternoon wore on, Oliver's curiosity got the better of him. He had always been fascinated by the house's many rooms and hidden nooks, and today seemed like the perfect opportunity to explore. He began his journey in the attic, a dusty, forgotten place filled with the remnants of past generations. Boxes of old photographs, trunks of faded clothes, and stacks of yellowed letters lay scattered about, each item a silent witness to the passage of time. As Oliver sifted through the relics of the past, he stumbled upon a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were filled with the elegant script of a bygone era, and as he read, he felt a chill run down his spine. The journal belonged to a young woman named Eliza Hawthorne, who had lived in the house over a century ago. Her words painted a vivid picture of a life filled with both joy and sorrow, but it was her final entry that captured Oliver's attention. "I hear them," she wrote, her handwriting shaky and uneven. "The whispers in the walls, the footsteps in the hall, they are calling to me, and I fear I cannot resist." Oliver's heart pounded in his chest as he read the words, a sense of unease settling over him. He closed the journal, his mind racing with questions. Who was Eliza, and what had happened to her? And more importantly, what did her words mean? Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Oliver decided to continue his exploration, his steps leading him down to the basement, a place he had never ventured before. The air was cool and damp, and the dim light from the single bulb cast eerie shadows on the walls. As he made his way through the maze of old furniture and forgotten belongings, he heard a faint sound, a soft rustling that seemed to come from the far corner of the room. His heart racing, Oliver approached the source of the sound, his eyes scanning the darkness. There, nestled among the shadows, was a small wooden door, its surface worn and splintered with age. He hesitated for a moment, a voice in his mind warning him to turn back. But his curiosity was too strong, and with a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The room beyond was small and cramped, its walls lined with shelves filled with dusty bottles and jars. In the center of the room stood an old wooden table, its surface covered with strange symbols and markings. As Oliver stepped inside, he felt a strange sensation wash over him, as if the air around him was charged with an invisible energy. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him, and the room was plunged into darkness. Oliver's heart pounded in his chest as he fumbled for the doorknob, his mind racing with fear and confusion. But the door was locked, trapping him inside. Panic threatened to overwhelm him, but he forced himself to take a deep breath, to think. He remembered the journal, the words of Eliza Hawthorne echoing in his mind, The whispers in the walls, she had written, they are calling to me. As if on cue, Oliver heard a soft, melodic whispering, a sound that seemed to come from all around him. It was a haunting melody, both beautiful and terrifying, and it filled him with a sense of dread. He realized that the room was not just a forgotten storage space, but a place of ancient power, a portal to another realm. Desperate to escape, Oliver searched the room, his hands brushing against the cold stone walls. He found a small metal key hidden in a crevice, its surface worn and tarnished with age. With trembling hands, he inserted the key into the lock, and with a click, the door swung open. Oliver stumbled out of the room, his heart pounding with relief. But as he made his way back upstairs, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that the shadows were following him, their presence a constant, chilling reminder of the house's dark secrets. Over the next few days, Oliver's life became a series of strange occurrences and eerie happenings. He would hear whispers in the night, footsteps in the hall, and the soft rustling of unseen hands brushing against the walls. The house seemed to come alive, its walls echoing with the voices of the past. Desperate for help, Oliver confided in his grandmother, sharing the story of Eliza Hawthorne and the strange room in the basement. Her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and understanding, and she told him of the house's dark history, of the spirits that were said to haunt its halls. Eliza was not the first, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The house has always been a place of mystery and danger, but you must not fear, for the spirits are not evil, only lost. With his grandmother's guidance, Oliver began to understand the true nature of the house and the spirits that dwelled within. He learned to listen to their whispers, to hear their stories and their pleas for help. And in doing so, he discovered a way to bring peace to the restless souls that haunted the old Hawthorne house. As Oliver delved deeper into the mystery, he uncovered the history of the house, a tale of love, betrayal, and tragedy. Eliza Hawthorne, he learned, had been a young woman of great beauty and talent, but her life had been cut short by a cruel twist of fate. Her spirit, along with those of others who had met similar fates, lingered in the house, their whispers a plea for release. Oliver's journey led him to the heart of the mystery, to the very core of the house's dark secrets. He discovered that the room in the basement was a place of ritual and sacrifice, a portal through which the spirits could communicate with the living. But it was also a prison, a place where the spirits were trapped, unable to move on. With the help of his grandmother, Oliver performed a ritual of his own, a ceremony designed to free the spirits and bring peace to the house. As he stood in the dimly lit basement, the air thick with tension, he spoke the words of the incantation, his voice steady and strong. The room seemed to come alive, the air crackling with energy. The whispers grew louder, filling the room with a haunting melody. And then, as if a veil had been lifted, the spirits appeared, their forms shimmering in the dim light. Oliver watched in awe as the spirits gathered around him, their eyes filled with gratitude and relief. He felt a sense of peace wash over him, a feeling of connection and understanding. And as the final words of the incantation left his lips, the spirits began to fade, their forms dissolving into the ether. When it was over, the house was silent, the whispers gone, replaced by a profound sense of calm. Oliver stood in the basement, his heart filled with a sense of accomplishment and wonder. He had freed the spirits, bringing peace to the house and its inhabitants. But the story doesn't end there. As the days turned into weeks, Oliver noticed subtle changes in the house. The air seemed lighter, the atmosphere less oppressive. The whispers were gone, but in their place, there was a new energy, a sense of life and vitality that had been missing before. Oliver's grandmother noticed the change too, and she smiled knowingly. "The house is happy now," she said. "You have given it a new beginning." Oliver felt a sense of pride and fulfillment, knowing that he had played a part in the house's transformation. He realized that the house was not just a building, but a living entity, a part of his family's history and legacy. As he grew older, Oliver continued to explore the house, uncovering more secrets and stories. He learned to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the old Hawthorne house, and he vowed to preserve its history for future generations. In the quaint, unassuming town of Eldridge Hollow, where the cobblestone streets wound like ancient veins through the landscape and the air was perpetually tinged with the scent of pine and earth, life unfolded at a leisurely pace. The townsfolk were accustomed to the quietude, a silence that was both a comfort and a shroud, wrapping around them like a protective cocoon. For 16-year-old Emma Lawson, this tranquility was the backdrop of her life. A life that was about to be irrevocably altered by a friendship that would challenge the very nature of her reality. Emma was a girl of quiet contemplation, her days often spent with her nose buried in a book or wandering the dense, whispering woods that bordered her home. It was during one of these solitary sojourns, as the golden light of late afternoon filtered through the canopy, that she first encountered Liam Carter. Liam was new to Eldridge Hollow, having moved to the town with his family under circumstances that were as mysterious as they were sudden. He was captivating, with an easy smile that seemed to light up the world around him in a way of listening that made you feel truly heard. Emma was immediately drawn to him, and they quickly formed a bond that felt both natural and profound. Their friendship blossomed in the dappled sunlight of the woods, where they spent hours talking about everything and nothing, sharing dreams and fears, hopes and insecurities. Liam had a way of making Emma feel seen, truly seen, in a way she had never experienced before. She felt a connection with him that was exhilarating and, at times, unsettling. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Emma began to notice subtle changes in Liam's behavior. He would sometimes disappear for days without warning, returning with a distant look in his eyes and vague excuses about visiting family or tending to personal matters. His once warm and open demeanor became erratic, and he would occasionally say things that left Emma feeling uneasy, as if he were hinting at secrets too dark to share. Despite her growing concerns, Emma found herself making excuses for him, attributing his behavior to the stress of moving and the challenges of adapting to a new life. She told herself that everyone had their quirks, and that Liam's were just part of what made him unique. One evening, as they sat on the porch of Emma's home, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink, Liam turned to her with an intensity that took her breath away. "Do you ever feel like there's something missing, Emma?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma hesitated, caught off guard by the question. "I think everyone feels that way sometimes," she replied carefully. "It's part of being human." Liam shook his head, his gaze fixed on the distant horizon. "No, it's more than that. It's like there's a shadow following me, a part of me that I can't escape." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. She had never heard Liam speak like this before, and his words stirred a deep sense of unease within her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam took a deep breath, his expression one of grim determination. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I feel like I'm being pulled in two directions, like there's something inside me that wants to break free." Emma didn't know what to say. She wanted to comfort him, to reassure him that everything would be okay, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to Liam's words than he was letting on. As the days passed, Emma's unease grew. She began to notice strange occurrences around town whispers, in the wind that seemed to carry secrets, shadows that moved with a life of their own, and a pervasive sense of being watched. She tried to dismiss these feelings as paranoia, but they persisted, gnawing at the edges of her consciousness. One night, as she lay in bed, Emma heard a soft tapping at her window. She sat up, her heart pounding, and peered into the darkness. There, silhouetted against the moonlight, was Liam. He beckoned for her to join him outside. Emma hesitated, her mind racing with questions and doubts, but something in Liam's expression, a vulnerability she had never seen before, compelled her to follow. She slipped out of bed, her movements cautious and deliberate, and made her way to the window. As she climbed out into the cool night air, she felt a sense of foreboding settle over her. Liam led her into the woods, his steps sure and purposeful. Emma followed in silence, her apprehension growing with each step. The woods, usually a place of solace and comfort, now seemed alien and foreboding. The trees loomed like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. When they reached a small clearing, Liam stopped and turned to face her. "Do you trust me?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Emma nodded, though her heart was pounding in her chest. "Of course," she replied, her voice trembling. Liam took a deep breath, his expression one of grim determination. "There's something I need to show you," he said, gesturing to the ground at their feet. Emma looked down and saw a faint outline etched into the earth. It was a symbol, unlike anything she had ever seen before. As she studied it, she felt a strange sensation wash over her, as if the air around her was charged with an invisible energy. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Liam hesitated, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. "It's a binding," he explained, "a way to keep something trapped." Emma's mind raced as she tried to make sense of his words. "What are you saying?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Liam took a step closer, his expression earnest. "There's a part of me that's not human," he confessed. "A part that I've been trying to keep hidden, but it's getting stronger, and I don't know how much longer I can hold it back." Emma felt a surge of fear and confusion. "What are you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Liam shook his head, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I need your help to find out." Emma's mind was a whirl of conflicting emotions. She wanted to run, to escape the nightmare that was unfolding before her. But another part of her, the part that cared for Liam, urged her to stay, to help him in whatever way she could. In the end, it was her love for him that won out. She nodded, her decision made. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice steady, despite the fear that gripped her heart. Liam smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "We find the truth," he said, "together." And so, they embarked on a journey that would take them to the darkest corners of Eldritch Hollow and beyond. Their quest for answers led them to the town's ancient library, a labyrinthine repository of knowledge where the dust of centuries lay thick upon the shelves. There they pored over tomes of forgotten lore and arcane texts, seeking clues to the mystery that bound them. Their search led them to the home of Agnes Whitaker, a reclusive woman rumored to be a practitioner of the old ways. Agnes was a woman of sharp features and sharper eyes, her voice a raspy whisper that seemed to echo with the weight of ages. She spoke in riddles and half-truths, her words weaving a tapestry of intrigue and danger. "The symbol you seek," she said, her eyes glinting with a knowing light, "is a mark of the ancients, a covenant forged in blood and shadow." Emma and Liam listened, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. "What does it mean?" Emma asked, her voice barely a whisper. Agnes leaned forward, her gaze intense. "It is a binding, a way to contain a force that defies comprehension. But bindings can be broken, and shadows can be unleashed." Her words hung in the air like a portent of doom. Emma felt a chill settle over her, a sense of impending danger that was almost palpable. "How do we stop it?" she asked, her voice trembling. Agnes smiled, a cryptic twist of her lips. "You must find the heart of the shadow," she replied. "Only then can you hope to contain it." With Agnes's cryptic guidance, Emma and Liam continued their journey, their path leading them deeper into the heart of the mystery. They traversed the dense forest that surrounded Eldritch Hollow, seeking the ancient stone circle that was said to be the site of the original binding. As they journeyed, they encountered many challenges, from treacherous terrain to creatures that lurked in the shadows, drawn by the power of the symbol. But through it all, Emma and Liam's bond grew stronger, their shared purpose forging a connection that was unbreakable. Finally, they reached the stone circle, a place of ancient power and mystery. The air was thick with tension, and the ground seemed to pulse with a life of its own. As they stepped into the circle, Emma felt a surge of energy course through her, a feeling of being both connected and apart. Liam turned to her, his expression one of grim resolve. "This is it," he said, "the heart of the shadow." Emma nodded, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Liam took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the center of the circle. "We confront it," he replied, "together." As they stood there united in purpose, the ground trembled and the air crackled with energy. The shadow emerged, a swirling mass of darkness and light, a force of pure chaos and destruction. Emma and Liam faced it together, their hearts and minds aligned in a shared resolve. They fought with everything they had, drawing on the strength of their bond and the power of the ancient binding. In the end, it was their love and courage that prevailed. The shadow was contained, the binding restored. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Emma and Liam stood side by side, their hearts filled with a sense of peace and accomplishment. Their journey had tested them in ways they could never have imagined, but it had also brought them closer together,